I need you to email me the monologue because
There's always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
And welcome to it, a special edition for the nation's capital again today. Glad to have you along for the conversation. And it is a big conversation we're having today as we're talking about violence in America, I suppose. It is a conversation that has emboldened this nation to say, look, we've had enough. It's time to change what we're doing here. And it is time to change what we're doing here. Three big things this morning while we're considering who you want in your foxhole. Here's question number one. Number one, gas prices. The lowest they've been heading into Labor Day in 5 years. Isn't that a welcome surprise? Travel, my friends. Enjoy the holiday. That'll be nice and cheaper this year. Number two, the Transportation Department taking over Union Station in Washington, D.C., maybe Penn Station in New York, maybe more, trying to return these great stations to their greatness. The Trump administration is. We'll talk about that. And number three, of course, tragedy strikes in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It is unspeakable. A deranged shooter opened fire at Annunciation Catholic School while pre-K through 8th grade students were at Mass, killing an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, wounding 17 others, including 14 children, 3 adults. Unspeakable violence before the gunman killed himself at the scene of the crime. The suspect, and I say himself because the suspect used to be known as Robert Eastman. His mother worked at that school for a number of years, retiring a couple of years ago, but she helped him facilitate a name change back in 2019 or 2022, Robin Eastman. Why? He identified as a woman. He was another transgender violent attacker attacking a Catholic school, much like what we saw in Nashville not that long ago. When do we admit there's a problem? Documents from a Minnesota court show that in 2019, Robert's parents requested that their minor son's name be changed to Robin because he identified as a female and wanted a name that reflected that identification. It's not clear if it became official in 2019 or 2020. So this young man wanted to be identified as a woman. There's a disturbing pattern coming out here. Despite making up less than a percentage of the population, well less than 1% of the population, trans-identified individuals are at the center of mass violent incidents more and more often. We see it in the headlines like we are today. A shooting in Denver, Aberdeen, Maryland, Iowa, Philadelphia, Nashville, Colorado Springs. The list goes on. It's a national problem. It's almost like telling people that their mental illness is a valid identity and it isn't helping them or anyone. Telling them that it's valid to believe you're something you're not isn't helping anyone. You can't expect to inject mentally ill with an experimental cocktail of hormones in the name of gender-affirming care and expect no consequences. Doesn't make sense. Yesterday highlights the worst of the worst. It's disturbing. It's devastating. And it shouldn't be. Yet this is apparently the focus of Minnesota's leaders. The Minneapolis mayor, Jacob Frey, Governor Tim Walz, the state's attorney general, the lieutenant governor, and so much more. The state of Minnesota embraces all of this. Listen.
Minneapolis will continue to be a safe haven for undocumented immigrants, for our trans community.
Minnesota ranks the highest per capita for being a safe haven for transgender individuals in Minnesota.
And we have sued them for gender-affirming care. Yes, we are not going to scapegoat our transgender community.
When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as grown-ups to listen and to believe them.
Minneapolis will.
It's our job as grown-ups to listen to them and believe them. Really, I identified as a dinosaur when I was 7 years old. Was it my mother's obligation as a good parent to believe that I was a Tyrannosaurus Rex? Really? Where does this foolishness come from? The left wing has a lot to answer for because their radical extremism is creating killers. It's creating killers. Photos and videos from the social media that have since been taken down where the killer flaunts his arsenal, showcasing gun magazines with terms like "Kill Donald Trump" and "Where is your God?" along with a manifesto in which he apologizes to his friends and family for what he calls his mission or his final act. The manifesto goes on with admissions of depression, twisted thoughts, his belief that the good in life cannot outweigh the bad anymore. He says his final act has been living in his head for a while, and he says it's a way to fight injustice by murdering children. The depth of depravity and mental illness, unbelievable. That's right, shooting a bunch of children in the Catholic Church, his idea of righting society's wrongs. Sick stuff, truly evil, the result of a culture that affirms the mentally ill, telling them their delusions are valid. Your delusions are valid. Therefore, whatever you think you are is what you are. And apparently, as good parents, we have to embrace that. Wrong. Federal forces lended a hand to local police in the area, possibly in part because Minneapolis police are already stretched thin from other violent crime, including just that night. Violence was out of control in Minneapolis again, a department that's down more than 100 officers, almost 20%. Listen.
I will say throughout the morning, we've been following a violent night overnight in Minneapolis. So we know already that Minneapolis police were pretty strapped. They responded to at least another deadly shooting in downtown Minneapolis earlier this morning. No indication that any of that is connected to what's going on here, but just gives you an idea of this city's resources and how they've been using those. They also dealt with a shooting involving 7 victims earlier yesterday, another fatal last night around 8 o'clock. So it could be that a lot of this help is being called in just to alleviate some of the busyness, I guess that you could say, that Minneapolis police are under.
Yeah. Down almost 100 officers, like I said. A shooting involving 7 people, another murder. Minneapolis is another one of those Democrat-run cities. You know, the ones where they don't want any help from the federal government to clean up crime because things are so swimmingly well there. On top of that, Minneapolis down 100 officers, nowhere near fully staffed. And that's just the legal minimum threshold that they're below. Before the summer of love, the force had a surplus of almost 200 officers. A surplus. They're supposed to have 713, I believe. But after 2020, hundreds of officers exited the force, as you can imagine. Minneapolis adopted dozens of state and local consent decrees that tied their hands even further, outsourcing some of their jobs to social workers, while violent crime continues to rocket out of control. But Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry doesn't take issue with that. He says the issue is with thoughts and prayers. Listen to what he said.
And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. And don't just...
Yeah, should be learning with their friends. Don't say it's about thoughts and prayers. We have to do something, folks. I sit here disgusted. Both of my children went to Catholic schools that were K through 8 schools. Could have been them. It's got to stop. I'll be back with more. Time is our All right, back to it now. You know, listening to Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, say it's not about thoughts and prayers. That's just a prelude to more gun control. Minneapolis, by the way, one of the cities with the strictest gun control in America. Didn't make a difference, did it? The guns used, a rifle, a shotgun, and a handgun, all bought legally. Doesn't make me feel any better about it, of course. We all know where they're going with that gun control. Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar didn't waste any time calling for more gun control, of course. It's what she does. Here she is.
It, of course, makes me think about guns and all the work we've done to ban these automatic rifles and to do something when it comes to the background checks and everything, and we keep getting thwarted. We were able to pass a limited measure on a bipartisan basis, but not enough to stop something like this. And
yeah. And here's the kicker. Let this just sink in for a moment. Things could get even worse in Minneapolis. Why? Because the man that's running to take over as Minneapolis mayor is a Muslim Democratic socialist who wants to convert even more police openings into social worker jobs. He wants to further defund the police, outlaw the police, while he spends more time and resources on fighting Donald Trump than fighting crime. Here's the Democrat nominee to be the next mayor of Minneapolis, Omar Fatah. Listen.
Protecting all of our communities from Donald Trump means not letting MPD interact with ICE, whether it's for an immigration raid or not. Our residents deserve a mayor that will stand up to Donald Trump and say, no, not in our community. Did you know that the city's own data showed that 47% of calls to MPD can be diverted to non-police response? Cops aren't social workers. Investments in programs like these ensure that the appropriate response arrives when we call 911.
Yeah, there it is. Omar Fatah, your Democrat nominee, socialist, communist, Somali, looking to be the mayor of Minneapolis. That'll certainly work out well, won't it? Where do you think the funding for those social workers will come from? Pretty clearly, the police department. It's always defund the police. Defund the police, even if they try to rap it in a different language. The Democrat Party will do everything except what actually matters. Take accountability for the soft-on-crime policies that enable these kinds of tragedies and reverse course. This week, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has been railing and raving at the DNC annual get-together, criticizing Trump for tackling crime with the National Guard. Must be angry because it's working right here in D.C. where I'm sitting today, while his own city sees shooting after shooting after shooting. Listen to this.
Don't take the bait. It boggles my damn mind that in the midst of a military takeover our cities and the attempt to go into others, the flaunting of the rule of law, the cruelness and the unconstitutional nature of the way they're attacking our neighbors, that the press finds the need to talk about, oh, there's a division in the Democratic Party.
No, the Democratic Party is falling apart. Look at the numbers, Timmy. You'll see what we're talking about. Crime, law and order, very popular with the American people. Not sure who you're talking to. The Democratic Party doing some really interesting marketing. Again, it's the wrong side of an 80-20. This might even be 90-10. A poll for the Associated Press this week shows that 81% of Americans see crime as a major problem. It cuts across both parties. 96% of Republicans, 72% of independents, and even 68% of Democrats agreeing. Supermajorities all that crime is a huge problem. For those of you, look at the graph. Look at the graph. What this is what DNC speakers are trying to convince their audiences. This is what they're trying to convince their audiences of. Listen to this.
Issues voters care about. Where does Trump go? Migrant crime, carjackings, the really lurid, awful stuff that is a crazy, crazy visual. Don't take the bait, because most Americans are more worried about how are we going to address mental health issues, the visible homelessness that we see on streets, and how do we deal with mental health and other issues that drive the sort of random incidents that scare all of us. That's what you should be talking about. That's where you should be focused. Don't take the bait in talking about migrant crime or carjackings or the things that actually don't matter to that many Americans.
All right, let's talk about mental health issues like transgenderism and people who think that they're girls when they're boys that shoot up Catholic schools. Again, maybe we should look at that. They're in complete denial. Like Congressman Jamie Raskin, who says that crime is just part of our history. It's just part of our history. We should just say it's okay and live with it. Here he is.
And he's trying to militarize our society, intimidate his political opponents. The whole idea of picking cities based on their partisan leadership is absurd. I mean, there are lots of Republican cities and towns struggling with crime. Everybody is across the country. Always. Crime has always been part of our history, and yet crime is down.
No, no, he's wrong about everything. In fact, he's just flat out lying. He doesn't get challenged on Chicken Noodle News. Here's the fact check, Jamie. Of the 20 most violent cities in America, 19 have Democrat mayors. 1. Shreveport, Louisiana, 1 has a Republican. So this is a uniquely Democrat problem. Not surprising at all when mayors like Chicago's Brandon Johnson think that putting bad people in prison is racist and unholy. That's what he keeps saying, attacking Donald Trump. Don't bring the National Guard here to Chicago. We don't want law and order on our streets. We want violence and chaos. I'd argue it's racist not to want to put people in jail because they're a certain race while letting black and brown victims pay the price. As I told you yesterday, over 7 years, the murder victims in Washington, D.C., it was about 1,200 black folks killed in 7 years and 11 white people. How is what Donald Trump is doing racist at all? He's trying to help those communities that need the help. And Democrats double down on stupidity and transgenderism and crime. It's pretty embarrassing, frankly. I'll take a break and be back. Good morning. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, here's a little shocking update for you. And I guess it's not shocking. It's predictable. Apple is putting out their new operating system. I guess iOS 26. Is that what it is? Look right here. I believe that's what it was. iOS 26, that's right. In September, which will include an updated text filtration system that will basically block text messages from unknown numbers that have no chat history with the recipient to a separate message folder that will not generate an alert on the recipient's phone. Okay, that sounds all well and good, except it's going to block Republican fundraising disproportionately. It's an effort to block solicitation of campaign money for Republicans. That's what it is, unfortunately. And now you know. Yeah, now you know. Speaking of raising money, how are you with crypto right now? Bitcoin went down quite a bit. Ethereum went down. XRP held its own. And while the elites get rich off crypto, are you in the game? Are you sitting on the sidelines? Well, Block Trust IRA is hoping that you get off the sidelines, bringing the crypto opportunity to real Americans just like you. Block Trust IRA. It's crypto fueling President Trump's America First economic miracle. Now is your chance to join the movement. The Animus AI trading platform runs 24/7, crushing old school strategies and helping patriots just like you build serious wealth like the elites. It's been named the #1 crypto tech platform by Bitcoin Magazine. Block Trust IRA offers up to $200 million in protection, and its clients are seeing returns over 250%. Whether you're a teacher, trucker, retiree, or small business owner, this is your time. Get up to $2,500 in bonus crypto when you sign up. $2,500 in bonus crypto when you sign up right now. What do you have to do? It's easy. Go to SteveGruberCrypto.com. SteveGruberCrypto.com to find out more and get in the game. All right, from the nation's capital, I'll be back at the White House today. There's a press briefing with Caroline Leavitt, 1 o'clock this afternoon. I'll be there for you. Maybe I'll get a question with Caroline. We'll see. We'll see. All right, we'll take a break and be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, welcome back to the Steve Gruber Show. Today we're talking about veterans who continue to serve their communities after the uniform comes off. And joining me today are two incredible guests, Brigadier General Stephen Feldman, retired, and Jennifer Wide. Both are proud PureClean franchise owners, and both are part of the PureVet program, an initiative that's been spearheaded by Frank Torrey. He is the vice chair of PureClean. It is designed to help veterans transition into business ownership, not just coming home, but having real opportunity. Jennifer is also certified as a veteran-owned business through the National Veteran Business Development Council, or NVBDC. General Feldman, Jennifer, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us, Steve.
Great to have you guys here. General Feldman, let me start with you. You spent a career serving this nation. Tell us a little about your time in uniform and what led you to make the leap into business ownership after you left.
Well, Steve, I served in the Marine Corps for about 4.5 years, and then the Army Guard Reserve for about 33 years. And I was also a police lieutenant in Cedar Rapids here for about 30 years. And like many veterans, when it comes to time of transition from one job to another, I wanted something that served a purpose. And with the military, you gain leadership, discipline, resilience, and adaptability. Traits that the military instills in you, and I knew that would carry on to my business. The Pearl Vet program under Frank Torrey's leadership stood out because it wasn't just about a business, it was about continuing a mission of service to serve the people of the community, and this time getting their lives back together after a disaster.
Yeah, disasters big and small. Could be a tornado, could be a pipe breaking in your house and everything in between. It makes a lot of sense to me. Once a mission-driven leader, always a mission-driven leader. What's been the biggest lesson you've carried from being a brigadier general into running this franchise and helping people put their lives back on track?
Well, hands down, it's the leadership and teamwork provided by Pearl Clean and Frank Torrey. In the Army and in the military, in most jobs, you seek by empowering your people and staying calm during crisis. Property restoration is no different. When a client's home is affected by being flood or a fire, they need steady leadership and a team that they can trust to get the job done right. And that's where my military leadership and background really shines in this job.
In fact, I met Frank and his team because I had a fire at my house. I'm going through the process right now. It is it's a lot for somebody when they're having their worst day to have a professional show up like you and help them out. Jennifer, your story adds another dimension. You're not only a Pure Clean franchise owner, but you're also a certified member of the NVBDC as a veteran-owned business. Now, what does that certification mean, and what does it mean for you?
Well, the NVBDC provides opportunities. It shows that we are accredited, we're verified. It gives us opportunities with corporate members, business leaders, just opens up many different doors for us.
So that's really important.
Yes, it's very important.
Yeah. All right, so tell me this, because I've been talking about the Pure Vet program. I didn't know anything about this. Had a house fire a year ago, got to know Frank and his team. They came over from Pure Clean. And as I got to talk to Frank, he goes, well, I do a lot for veterans. I didn't know anything about the Pure Vet program. I've become quite acquainted with it now. How did the Pure Vet program help you get to where you are now?
So the Pure Vet program provided mentorship, provided training, provided guidance. It got us connected with the NVBDC and provided the different opportunities with corporations. Frank Torrey, he's been really good at championing, the veterans and all opportunities for us. We just really believe in veteran success.
Yeah, and I could not agree with you more, both of you. I'll ask you both this question. I'll start with you, Jennifer. What's been the biggest challenge going from military life to being a business owner, and how has Pure Vet, been there to help you every step of the way, General?
Well, in the military, as a general and as a senior officer, you always had people that surrounded you that knew all the nuts and bolts of the business. Operations, marketing, financials, human resources. The military teaches you to lead, but Pearl Vet gave me the tools and the training to apply that to a business model. And that support, championed by Frank Torrey, has really made the difference in our success.
Jennifer, what would you say about that?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that translating your military skills into civilian service is probably can be difficult, but Pure Vet understands that gap, and they helped us to connect everything with the mentorship and the structure that the Pure Vet program provided. You really never feel like you're on your own.
Yeah, that's big. And for the people that have had fires and floods, they don't want to feel like they're on their own either. That's where you come in. It's powerful testimony. And Beyond business, how has owning a Pure Clean franchise allowed you to impact your local community? Jennifer, let me start with you.
Yeah, well, when disaster strikes, whether it's flood or water or storm damage, we're always there to help the families, and really that's real service, and that's what's helping our community. It's really just continuing our mission, just in a different uniform.
To help people, yeah. General, what would you say about that?
Exactly what Jennifer said. For me, it's about being there for the people on their worst day, having their house flooded, their house burned with their equipment. That sense of purpose of providing support makes this job so fulfilling.
Yeah, let me dig into the program just a little bit. Because for veterans or people that know veterans, if you're a veteran or you know a veteran, I want you to understand how this program works, what Puro Vet is, and why you get pushed to the front of the line. General, let me start with you. Puro Vet was something you became familiar with, obviously. It's an extension of Puro Clean. It's a great company with, 500 different franchise locations around the country. And they put the veterans at the front of the line, right? Tell me how it works.
Well, Puro Vet is a Puro Clean's veteran franchise program. It's designed to take the discipline and leadership that veterans already have that they've served and give them the training, the financial incentives, and the support to run a successful restoration business. And it was just a natural fit for us and Puro Clean.
Well, it seems like it. And Jennifer, obviously, you've had some success. What else would you say about it?
Yeah, well, I would say that on top of that, veterans get mentorship and access to the supplier networks, the chance to get NVBDC certified. So it's not just a franchise, it's really a pathway to veteran entrepreneurship. And that's just, Frank Torrey believes in investing in veterans and building programs that truly work.
Yeah, and let me bring this home because, look, the property restoration industry is booming. There's no question about that, right, General?
Oh, absolutely. It's a $200 billion industry. And unfortunately, as you've seen this year, disasters are on the rise. It means the demand for our services are growing. And veterans are perfect suited for this work because they know how to lead under pressure and you get the job done right.
Real quick, Jennifer, what advice would you give to somebody who's a veteran and knows a veteran? What would you tell them? What should they do right now?
I would say don't be afraid to bet on yourself. I mean, you already have the skills, and then with the right support, something like Puro Vet. You can turn this into what you've learned in the military into a lifetime of a thriving business and support for yourself and your families.
I put it up there, Anthony. If you want to know more, go to purovet.com. If you're a veteran, know a veteran, purovet.com, or give them a call, 855-PURO-VET. You can find out more, get started today. Jennifer, General, I have to leave it right there. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
We'll be right back. All right, back into it now as we continue on a big Thursday here from the nation's capital. Glad to be here, back among the living after what happened to start the week. Good Lord. My next guest, Nick Hopwood, says, well, what happened? Well, as I was said, I got some bad clams. Nick Hopwood here, financial planning. It's my guy that I go to, Peak Wealth Management. Nick, good to see you. I see that you got some predictions for me today, including college football. So you've got trends in college football already. The season hasn't even started, Nick.
Well, Steve, I do have some trends, but I have to say, as a Catholic with two kids in Catholic school, I got my father, Gabriel Richard, shirt on today. I want to say that I stand in solidarity with all my Catholic brothers and sisters in condemning this terrible hate crime.
But I have to agree with you. Hold on.
Yes.
I have two children in Catholic school as well. One that just same thing, a K through 8 Catholic school. My kids, two of my kids attended it, and you know it's reprehensible on every level. I stand with my Catholic friends and family too. So I agree with you on that. Go ahead.
So when it comes to college football, on a lighter note, I do spot trends in the markets as well as college football. Got a couple numbers for you. 42 to 27, 45 to 23, 30 to 24, and 13 to 10. These are the last 4 years of Michigan over Ohio State. So let's make it 5 straight. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. That's not till November. So for the first week,
let's start with this. Hold on. If we're going to dive into that, I'm taking Texas in the opener over the Ohio State University. Right? I got Texas by 5. That's what I'm going with. And it could it could be worse. Texas might have them outclassed in every position. God bless Texas. All right, there you go.
Yep. So we'll be watching Texas, Ohio State. We'll also be watching Michigan on Saturday night with their freshman quarterback, the number 1 recruit in the country, number 1 quarterback overall, Bryce Underwood. So we'll be excited to see what he can do as a college freshman.
All right. So let's see. Back to the numbers of the world besides football. It sounds like what a too late Powell, is that what the president called him? Too late Powell might actually step up and not be too late this week. He might actually get some things done coming in September, drop the interest rates. And man, when the markets saw that, they said, hallelujah. The markets took off the day that he made that. He alluded to that, didn't they?
They did. And this is a Fed pivot last Friday at Jackson Hole. Chairman Powell is indicating and opening the door for a September rate cut, finally. It's been 9 months since the last rate cut. We have some stats here because it's been a long gap, right? Usually the Fed continues in a month or a quarterly or a monthly sequence. This is a 9-month gap. And the last, here's the chart. So this has happened 11 times since 1970 when there's been a long gap between Fed cuts. Now, if we look out 1 year later, the stats are really nice. 10 out of 11 times, it's been positive, and the average return 12 months looking forward has been 12.9%. So these are above average stats when it comes to the market and our crystal ball predictions.
And of course, you're hoping for a return to that. What does that mean? Is it early September, mid-September? I don't really know the timing of it exactly.
Yeah, it's in early September, and so we'll be watching closely for any Fed comments between now and then, and also we'll be watching the bond market very closely because we would expect rates across the spectrum to drop as well, but also they've been dropping, and so perhaps the market is front-running this Fed announcement, but we'll be watching the bond market closely. One takeaway would be our money market rates will drop by most likely 0.25%, but also we're looking at the mortgages, the car loans, the longer-term treasury bonds.
Credit card debt too gets tied into that as well, doesn't it? So this impacts lots of people. Something else I see that is on the headlines here: Obamacare subsidies possibly getting reduced significantly. Look, the cost of insurance, the Affordable Care Act did 0, and I mean maybe less than 0 on that word affordability. Never did much at all with Obamacare. Where are we with that?
Well, people have been taking advantage of these big-time subsidies, which went into effect after COVID. So, for example, if I'm 62 and married and making $100,000 per year, I can get a $900 subsidy from the feds for my health insurance in my zip code. In other areas, the subsidies are even larger, but they are expiring at the end of this year unless Congress makes a change. I would not expect a change to be made because COVID is 5 years ago. And so what's going to happen next year is that anyone who's over the 400% of the federal poverty level, which today for a married couple would be $84,000. So that example I gave you earlier, my subsidy would go from $900 a month to zero subsidy. Now, if I'm under 84,000, the federal poverty level times 4, then you would expect a subsidy, but it would be smaller. So this is going to affect a lot of people who are trying to retire pre-Medicare.
So a family of 4, $84,000 is the poverty level. Is that what you're saying?
That's a family of 2. So if we are a family of 2, the poverty level is 21,000. And can you imagine living on 21,000? A family of 4, the number goes up.
That's where I was confused. Now I understand. Okay, the numbers make sense to me now. All right, what is it? We've got about 30 seconds here. Sequence of returns risk. What is that? You wanted to mention it.
Yeah, this is talking about, right, the one thing we can't control is the market. And so if we retired in 1990, we had 10 years of a wonderful market, which was very lucky. If we retired in 1999, we had 10 years of a terrible market. My mother retired in 2007, right before the great financial crash. And so one thing we cannot control is the market, but so we have to have a distribution strategy ready in retirement to make sure if we have bad returns, we're not sunk.
There you go. Nick Hopwood from Peak Wealth. You can find out more with Nick Hopwood. Look him up online, Peak Wealth, and find out more. There's the QR code right there. You can click it right on your screen. Go right to Nick, get a second opinion on all of it. And no second opinion needed on Michigan football. We appreciate that one. Nick, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, how about some good news for you before we get to the top of the hour? Always want good news for you. Want you to be happy. Labor Day gas prices the lowest in 5 years. That's right. The Labor Day gas prices the lowest in 5 years since 2020. Projected cost will be $3.15 a gallon, average across the nation. That according to AAA and Gas Buddy both. Officials say this will be the cheapest summer for gas prices since the pandemic began. So, look, that's good news. Thank you to the new administration pushing those prices lower. Look, energy policy is policy for the country. It's national security policy. It's policy for your family. It's economic policy. Energy policy affects everything. Energy affects everything. I see in Michigan, for example, in Michigan, they're reopening a nuclear power plant that had been mothballed and taken offline. Never happened before in America. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission allowing that to happen and go forward. It's going to fire back up sometime soon. Also, a coal-fired power plant that was going to be demolished, stopped. The destruction stopped in its tracks. Wait a second. We can't do that. We cannot be the nation's leader in AI and mining for artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency if we don't have the energy to make it happen, and windmills ain't getting it done. Now you know. So Labor Day gas prices, the best they're going to be in a while. By the way, Patriot Mobile, my mobile company, my mobile phone company, offering you a free month of service if you sign up right now. PatriotMobile.com, America's only Christian conservative wireless network, offering a free month of service. They have a 100% U.S.-based customer service team, meaning you can talk to them, figure things out, and they use all three major networks. Meaning you can use all three major networks, and by the way, you can have two phones and two networks on the same phone, two numbers. Nobody else can do that. It's remarkable. PatriotMobile.com, promo code Gruber, of course. Promo code Gruber. Save yourself a bunch of money and have the best phone service there is, all right? I'll take it. You should do that today. It really is great. I'll take a break. I'll be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show on a Thursday. Nice to see you here today.
There's always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Yes, it is. And we are live from the nation's capital. Look at that. I know because the Capitol's here. Beautiful image, by the way, created by my executive producer and my number one supporter, Ivy, of course. Anyhow, welcome to the nation's capital. It's been a busy couple of days, that's for sure. A lot to cover here today. The question I have for you, as I always do, who do you want in your foxhole with you when the chips are down? I want you to really think about that some days, right? Three big things to think about right here. Number one, a small town in New Hampshire, the focus of a Fed takedown. They arrested 27 suspects in a fentanyl distribution scheme connected to the Sinaloa cartel. Can you imagine? That's number one. Number two, an American tourist beaten soundly in Germany for standing up to an illegal alien. Says Germany and Europe have all sorts of problems when it comes to mass immigration as well. And number three, of course, the conversation continues about that horrible attack on children attending Mass at a K through 8 school in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's just, to me, it hits home. Two of my children went to a K through 8 Catholic school, a small private school, small classes. What would possess someone, anyone, to attack children in Mass? The answer is mental illness, a darkness, a black soul, all of it. Democrats, of course, instantly going after gun control. How about you identify this person who called themselves Robin, having changed their name from Robert? More transgender violence targeting Catholic school kids, just like we saw in Nashville not that long ago. A former, the transgender killer's mother, by the way, a former employee of the school where he killed kids. We've seen that happen before with Adam Lanza, haven't we? Attacked the school where his mother worked. That's what happened here again. Listen.
It also appears that the mother of the gunman was a former employee of Annunciation of the school who had retired a couple of years back. And so initially authorities had said there was no clear connection between the gunman and the school itself. Now it appears as though the mother of the gunman does have a connection with that school. And has
a connection with that school. But how horrible. Attacking kids during Mass. 2 were killed, of course, 8 and 10 years old. 17 more people were wounded in the shooting, 14 children, 3 adults. And this monster, this Robin Westman, Robert, I'm sorry, I do not identify that person as a woman because they were not a woman. They were a mentally ill individual who attacked kids and wrote things like "Kill Trump" on the magazines and "Who is your God?" All sorts of things written because he put up this video, this long 10 or 12 minute video. He did it before any of this happened. And still we can't stop it. Where was the armed guard at the school? Where was the security at the school? How does this happen? Dana Bash, meanwhile, on CNN, embarrassing herself again yesterday, said, forget about thoughts and prayers. And they completely ignore trans violence. This story will go away quickly. It doesn't fit the narrative, of course. Listen to this.
I mean, he's expressing something that I know you feel and most people feel, which is a combination of sadness, but raw rage. Forget about thoughts and prayers. These kids were literally praying when they were murdered through a church window.
It's unbelievable. Disgusting. And just, the Jacob, the mayor, and his wife Sarah just had a second baby. So I know he knows this.
This is a disgusting thing to say. Forget about thoughts and prayers. They were literally praying. Yeah, so were children during the Holocaust, literally praying. but forget about thoughts and prayers. They don't deserve yours. How reprehensible. An embarrassment to Chicken Noodle News, and that's saying something. Meanwhile, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry has long been a champion of transgenderism. I'm done applauding human issues. I'm done applauding mental illness. How can you sit here and say, well, it's okay. They're just trying to fit in. We need to have serious conversations about what we're doing with mental health in America. Here's Jacob Fry.
And I want all of you just to know exactly where we are as far as our neighbors go. Minneapolis will continue to be a safe haven for undocumented immigrants, for our trans community. Regardless of who you are or where you come from, Minneapolis is a place where you should be proud to call home.
Yeah. Regardless of your state of mind, you should be proud to call it home. Of course, 2 children that lived in Minneapolis didn't go home yesterday. Kevin O'Leary, by the way, also appearing on CNN, calling out the violence in cities across America, because this is just part of a larger problem with crime that Donald Trump has been talking about from the Oval Office, why he cracked down on crime in this city, in Washington, D.C. Mr. Wonderful calls it out point by point by point. Listen.
We haven't even mentioned war zones like downtown San Francisco after 7 o'clock where I work, or Hollywood or Los Angeles where I work 2 months of the year. They are war zones. You can't walk outside at night, period. I don't give a damn if it's the Army, the National Guard, the FBI. I couldn't care less, and I can guarantee you 80, 90, 100% of the people there don't care either. They just want to walk outside.
I understand that people do want safety. I mean, there's no question about
safety,
that, right?
You
people
get
want
beaten
safety.
to a pulp in broad daylight in LA.
Abby Phillips, of course, arguing about the violence in American cities as she goes home to her gated community in her luxury townhouse or home. She knows nothing about this. She doesn't walk through San Francisco at night any more than Kevin O'Leary does. Everybody knows it. If you're tired of being in pain every single day, try ExodusNow.com. Try ExodusNow.com. Introducing Exodus, a natural holistic supplement combining 2,000 years of ancient wisdom with modern science. Featuring 7 biblical ingredients, frankincense, myrrh, cumin, paired with the groundbreaking benefits of molecular hydrogen. It's designed to soothe joint and muscle discomfort, boost your energy, reduce inflammation. If you're living with chronic inflammation, you are not alone, but you don't have to suffer anymore. Try ExodusNow.com. Try ExodusNow.com. I take it every day. Makes me feel like $1 million. It does. Exodus strong. I'll take a break and be back. Good to have you here. Special edition of the program right here in Washington, D.C. God bless America. While we're on the topic of crime, one of the things that comes up often and has been coming up with President Trump, obviously, is bail reform. When Democrats talk about bail reform, they mean letting criminals back out sometimes within the hour of committing a violent crime or in a day or two. Cashless bail has been advocated for and approved in cities across this country and in some states as well. Have you seen it impact crime positively? No. John Kufos is a national expert and advocate for criminal justice reform, especially bail reform. He joins me now. John, welcome to the program.
Good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's talk about cashless bail. There's an effort underway. Apparently, there's going to be a major crime bill that's being crafted right now by the president. One of those components likely to be bail reform in the idea of rejecting cashless bail. If you commit a crime, if you punch somebody in the face, if you push somebody in front of a subway train, you don't get to be let out in a couple of hours. You actually have to sit there and go through the process, see a judge, maybe sit in jail for a few weeks, have a trial, the whole process. That's the way it's supposed to work, is it not?
So, yeah, and I think I want to be clear, right? So cashless bail that is synonymous with riskless bail is the problem here that the president's trying to solve. So in 94 federal districts in every state, you get caught in federal court. The federal courts have the option to put a money bail on you. But more importantly than that, Steve, they have the ability to detain you, right? If you do something dangerous, they have the ability to detain you. Say you have lots and lots of offenses in your record, or you commit a particularly heinous type of offense, you are presumptively detained, right? The judge has to find a factor to let you out, right? Which is hard to surmount. So that system works. And there are some places that have employed that risk-based, danger-based system for dangerous offenses and dangerous people. The cashless bail system we're talking about, the worst example of it is New York, right? Which is not a surprise. So in New York, what happened was they removed cash bail, but then never inserted a risk determination. So then you had nothing. That is the problem in a nutshell. And what the president's cashless bail initiative is going to do is it's going to bring a risk-based system like we see in the federal system to the states.
So what about the idea of prosecutors doing their job as well? Because it's not just the cashless bail, John. It's the fact that when these criminals get there, their sentence is reduced. Their sentence is no sentence at all. Hey, don't do it again. See you later. We see time and again stories of somebody has 10 convictions, 20 convictions, 30 or arrests at least. They have dozens of arrests for violent altercations and incidents, and yet they're back out walking the streets and they kill somebody or push somebody in front of that subway train that I mentioned. I mean, this is insanity. America wants safety first. Safety first. Make America safe again. Should be the moniker, should it not?
That's right. But from a bail perspective, that's something that has to be closed. I use a great example from 2022 in New York. Everyone remembers the gentleman, and I use that term loosely, who grabbed a bunch of feces and spread it in the woman's face in the subway. This guy was 37.
How lovely.
He had 22 arrests already, and he was out on pretrial release for 2 separate assaults when he did that crime, right? So here's a person that in many places, if that happened 1 mile from the Bronx where this occurred in New Jersey, that guy's detained in New Jersey. New Jersey has cash bail and New Jersey has detention. So that's problem one. Problem two is, how does a person with that many offenses, why is that person not behind bars longer? That's a sentencing argument, and there's a good place for that. And candidly, President Trump's the right person for that, because remember in his first term, the president obviously was very, very tough on crime, as he is today, but he also did tremendous things to give the right type of offender second chances. It was Trump that did the First Step Act. It was Trump who did second chance hiring, opportunity zones. So, I mean, he's really a smart on crime president. I think he's going to thread this needle the right way.
Well, I hope that's true. I mean, obviously, you're looking at the numbers we looked at today. People that believe crime is a major problem in America, 81% in a poll I just saw, including 68% of Democrats. These are super majorities across the board. 96% of Republicans, 68% of Democrats and somewhere in the middle of the independents. 81% the aggregate overall number of Americans who think crime is a major problem, because it is. Look, the one job of government, John, is to keep people safe. That's it. I don't care if it's local, statewide, or federal. The one job of government, protect the citizens, right?
That's right. And I think we're going to have to confront some very uncomfortable things in this country. The number one being juvenile crime. When you look at the District of Columbia, right, where I split my time between there and New Jersey, and in D.C., the overwhelming amount of problems are coming out of the juvenile system. Juveniles are exempt from the current bail law, no matter where you are in America, because they're prosecuted in family court unless they're waived up. There's a whole thing going on there that we have to think about as a country with juvenile violent crime. And similarly, when we're thinking about cashless bail, or what I call riskless bail, right? The ability to detain is how we keep people safe. We do have to think about the immigration situation, because if a person is here illegally, many would argue that that should be an enhanced factor for presumptive detention. And I think we have to confront those two very uncomfortable truths. Well, not comfortable to me, but in certain parts of America, very uncomfortable. What are we going to do about juvenile violent crime? We're going to have to get tougher on that. And what are we going to do about pretrial release for people who are not here legally? And if we solve those two problems, we're going to solve a whole bunch of issues in our cities.
There you go. John, greatly appreciate you being here. John Kufos, national expert advocate on criminal justice reform. We need to clean up our act. And trust me, when I say 81% of the people consider crime to be a major problem, they want us to clean up our act too, collectively around this country. Here in D.C., one murder, I think we're at 15 days now. One murder in 15 days. We can make a difference, John, if we put our heads together and do things right. Thank you for being here.
I agree. Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it. What is your thought? Jump on SteveGruber.com. Send me an email. Tell me what you think. I'll be right back. Unbelievably, a federal judge has now intervened again to block Kilmar Abreu Garcia from being deported. The original blocking was until tomorrow for a hearing on Friday, that being tomorrow. But now, no, the deportation block has been pushed until October. October for a hearing, not until October the 6th, challenging his deportation to Uganda. So I guess these federal judges think it's a great idea to have an illegal alien with a removal order who's been involved in gang activity, human trafficking, and beating his wife. I guess these are the folks they like to have stick around, apparently. Maybe that's why we need to learn from Hillsdale College about this country and the foundations of this country. How about ethics? That'd be something to talk about, wouldn't it? Time is our most precious commodity. Many of you ask me time and again how to improve yourselves and those around you and use your time wisely. Well, here's a perfect way. Hillsdale College offering over 40 free online courses on subjects like Western philosophy, the great works of literature, economics, and the United States Constitution. I highly recommend Introduction to Aristotle's Ethics, How to Lead a Good Life, where Hillsdale's President Larry Arnn guides you through Aristotle's teachings on human nature, the good life, and the virtues necessary for happiness. Listen to Dr. Arnn.
We all have a common problem. How do you live well? Our well-being, our happiness depends upon how we do that. And the Nicomachean Ethics is the first great book written about that subject, and in my belief, the best book ever written. Why is ethics important?
Because we're trying to figure out how to be good.
Good's important. Every action and every choice and every inquiry we seem to make for some good. Somebody give a simple definition of what it is to be ethical.
Ethical would be to pursue a good life.
And get there, right? The reason this book is to be read is to become good. This is an urgent inquiry. We are the makers of our character. The claim of this book is that this is certainly the way to live well. You can become awesome. Start today.
Start today at GruberForHillsdale.com. The course is free, like 40 others. GruberForHillsdale.com. Check it out right now, GruberForHillsdale.com.
I'm Shanola Hampton.
All right, so financial officers from all over the United States calling on the United States Security and Exchange Commission to take bold new action to protect America's financial and national security against foreign adversaries, most notably, of course, China and the Chinese Communist Party. Vivek Malik is here. He is an expert on this, joining me. Vivek, thank you for being here.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Look, I'm concerned about something that was just said by the president here in the last few days. He is considering, as part of the trade deal with China, to opening up the door to another 600,000 Chinese students, and says if they don't come, then some smaller universities and colleges in America will close their doors, go bankrupt. And my retort to that would be simply this: they've been involved with all sorts of things, ag, terrorism, stealing of intellectual property, impacting our economic system. If these universities can't survive without these students, they don't really have a business plan, do they? What say you?
That is true. If these small schools are just dependent on foreign students and that too also from our adversaries, I think that's not a very good recipe for success for our universities and small colleges in the United States. They need to be self-sustaining, and part of the tuition that comes from the foreign students, that should not be the only reason why they should be in existence. So I think they need to find some alternative ways to stay open and educate our youth in America today as well. And the
Yeah.
foreign students should only be a small part of their piece in having their doors open. Absolutely true.
All right. So, in another matter here that really you're here more specifically to talk about, 24 state officials calling for the SEC to prevent American investment on Chinese Communist Party in this country. SEC Chair Paul Atkins, 24 state treasurers, comptrollers, auditors urging a prohibition on companies based in designated foreign adversaries, specifically China. Look, there are other people that are coming after it. Nobody is coming after America like China. Look, we may not realize that we are at war with China. They run an asymmetrical war against us for the last 25 years, maybe longer. We need to protect ourselves, don't we?
I completely agree. And yesterday I was proud to join 23 other statewide officials from across United States, financial officers especially, and calling the SEC to take action, a new action to protect America's financial and national security against these foreign adversaries like China. And we have been pushing hard on this since I took office in 23. I was the first one in the whole United States where Missouri started the issue of divesting from China its pension funds, and then took off. And last year also we had initiatives in our legislature to make sure all the pension funds across the state of Missouri are divested from China. We have taken that further. We worked with Vanguard because we have a 529 college savings plan for our kids. And that portion was managed by Vanguard. We work with Vanguard very closely to make sure that they offer ex-China ETF for folks to invest so that they have an option not to have their hard-earned money invested in China. So we are working very hard here in Missouri to make sure that we are divesting from China, and that's what needs to be done. And SEC needs to now take a lead role and make sure all these foreign private issuer status that is coming from these DFAs, such as China, with designated foreign adversaries, they need to take a hard look at those and make sure that if they are not following the rules, which are fair play rules for everybody, they need to kick them out. And that's what I'm standing for, and that's what my 23 other colleagues from these states have sent a letter to SEC saying, please take action.
You know, as you look at what the Chinese are doing, they come here and they invest here in farmland, which is something that concerns people. But we also invest in China. And look, one of the things that comes to mind when you talk about investment back and forth, pharmaceuticals, always at the forefront. 90% of our pharmaceuticals run back to China. If they decide that, hey, we're going to have a conflict with America, we can lock that down. That's why a lot of companies are leaving China now, coming back to the United States. Embracing China on this end of it just doesn't make sense to me or to a lot of other people. We need to separate from China. That doesn't mean completely eliminate them from the conversation. You can't. They're the second biggest economy in the world. But we can be a lot smarter about it, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to correct the wrongs that have been done from the 1970s, where we started putting all our eggs in one basket, and now we are realizing what the impact can be. This process should have started back in about a decade ago, but hey, today is also not late, but we are too far ahead in the game. We cannot let China and adversaries like China hold us to ransom for things like pharmaceuticals, the basic necessities that we need in everyday life. And I think we need more manufacturing bases in America. And Missouri's doors are always open for new manufacturing. And we'll work with anybody who wants to manufacture pharmaceuticals, who wants to manufacture automobiles. Missouri's doors are open, and we will welcome them with open heart and warm hearts, and make sure that they have everything that they need to establish themselves and make sure that Americans' lives are safe and that we are consuming U.S. produced goods and pharmaceuticals and food. So, what are you saying, Steve? We have taken a long time to correct the errors that we started back in 1970s. We were working with communist China and then started putting all our eggs in one basket. So this is high time, and we need to make sure that our Securities and Exchange Commission also takes action to reprimand those companies that are hiding behind the CCP's, Communist China's agenda, and they are hand in glove with the Chinese government and providing them all sorts of access to information. And this is high time we need to take that action.
Yeah, it feels like we're being bombarded all the time, although people don't see it. People are looking at their phone, their computer, the football game. They're distracted. They're all full of entertainment. And, look, a lot of things are going on that you should be paying attention to. And China is number one. And I cannot overstate how important it is, whether it's the 600,000 Chinese students, which I strongly disagree with the president on, and bringing them in. I think it's a terrible idea. And if universities can't survive on their own, well, then they need to move on. We need to protect ourselves from intellectual property theft. We need to protect ourselves from having too many supply chains that run back to China. We need to protect ourselves through the Security and Exchange Commission and everything else, all of it. All of it. I'll give you the last word.
Absolutely. And as state treasurers, state financial officers, it is our duty from the state side also to make sure that the hard-earned money of state workers and retirees is also safe. We need to make sure that all the money from all these public pension funds across the United States, which I would be probably, I think, over $150 billion, that needs to be stopped and divested from China as well, because we cannot let China sit on and then nationalize all those assets and say we lose all that hard-earned money of our retirees and workers across the states in all 50 states. So I agree with you, and from the students' perspective also, I think we need to make sure that these universities and colleges are self-sustainable and are not dependent on just foreign students only.
Correct. Vivek, thank you for being here. Greatly appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much, sir, for having me.
Thank you so much. There you have it. Vivek Malik. Look, too much China. It's toxic to freedom. It is. It's toxic to freedom. They don't believe in freedom. The Chinese model would have you in a 15-minute city. You'll own nothing. You'll be happy. World Economic Forum nonsense as well. It's all there. It's all there. You don't have the right to freedom of movement or thought or decisions, for that matter. I'll take a break and be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. More from the Michigan State Republican Party about fixing the roads. I'll tell you about when we come back.
New laws, new requirements, new risks. Michigan.
All right, picking up the conversation again. My next guest, Donnie Steele, is Republican. She represents Michigan's 54th House District. Has for 2 terms now. She's also filed to run for the Michigan Senate in the 23rd District in 2026. Donnie, welcome back to the program. Nice to have you here.
Thanks, Steve.
I do want to talk about road funding and so forth, but I've got to be honest. There's something more pressing to me in regards to what happened in Minneapolis yesterday. Another school shooting involving a transgender shooter at a Catholic school. Transgender violence. Again, it concerns me that we embrace this delusion of transgenderism, and it continues to reflect in violence against Catholics. Apparently, too often. Nashville, Minneapolis, the list goes on. My bigger concern is this. So what are we doing to protect our schools? Because it seems to me it's pretty obvious. Schools that have special resource officers, officers that are on campus all day, every day, have much fewer incidents of violence like this. We have to do better. I know that there are retired police officers, retired military, people that are willing to step up and do the job to protect our kids. What can we do here in Michigan to set the standard for the country to make sure our kids are safe?
Well, I do know that I have a friend that her husband is exactly what you said, a retired police officer. And actually, it's one of the state reps over in Macomb, St. Germain. And she said that just by having her husband there at the schools every day, people get used to a person in uniform. They actually confide in them, which, in unrelated things that end up being incidences that are stopped before they ever start. It's kind of like having a father figure around the school, and it could be a woman, of course, as well too. I know I'm in Orient School District, and they do have female liaisons, and it's just having that adult figure that you feel comfortable that you could go to and talk to, because you see him every day in uniform, and you think that it's safe. So
Yeah.
I think that they are very helpful. However, the incident in Oxford, there was a liaison at that school. However, unfortunately, they didn't call him into the room when they needed him most.
Yeah, here's the other part that gets a lot of pushback, but the numbers don't lie. In school districts across this country, be it Ohio, Texas, Tennessee, doesn't matter, any school that allows the staff and faculty to carry concealed, those that want to, not mandatory for anybody, but those that are willing and have a concealed pistol license, there has never been not one school shooting at any place where the would-be attackers don't know who's armed and who's not. It's a preventative measure. I'm quite sure the Democrats in the Senate would never even consider such a thing, but we need to do something for the safety of the students in Michigan and across this country. I'll give you the last comment on that, and then we'll move on.
Well, we, in the budget that just passed, we increased at the House. We increased the foundation allowance to give the autonomy to each school district for them to use those dollars in a capacity that they think is best served in their school district. And so some of them already have school liaisons. They wouldn't want to spend the money on that, whereas others don't. And now they have the opportunity. So our budget did take that into consideration.
There you go. All right. Speaking of the budget, the Michigan House did pass a $10.2 billion transportation budget, trying to fix the damn roads, which I'm pretty sure that somebody ran on that in Michigan at some point, fix the damn roads. It seems vaguely familiar. Anyhow, it didn't happen. We're at the blistering pace of 1 to 1.5% of the roads in Michigan being fixed annually. So by the time I'm 1,000 years old, they might actually be done. What can we do about it?
Well, I'm happy to say I'm that woman that is going to actually try to fix the roads with an increased budget. So I'm the chair of the transportation budget. We actually added $3 billion to the road funding this budget season. And we did that without raising taxes. And the emphasis is going to be put on the driveways to the highways, our neighborhood roads, our local roads, the roads that when you get out of your driveway and you go down the subdivision, which are egregious in the state of Michigan, that a lot of that funding is directed at those roads versus at the trunk lines and stuff. So we added $3 billion into the future. So it's not just a one-time funding. We're not borrowing money. We found money within the budget to reallocate it for the roads. And so I was really probably the only budget that actually increased. But of course, if you do better budgeting, you have to take it from other budgets. So um, we passed it in the House, party lines, except for one Democrat, Wissett from Detroit. She voted with us, and now here we are. Everybody's got their version, and see what happens. Unfortunately, behind closed doors. But I hope that the funding of the roads will be sustained.
Yeah, it's significant. Look, the main road that I drive out on, if I'm on a bicycle, I'll knock my fillings loose. I mean, it's bad. It's just terrible. It's an embarrassment. It really, 1 to 1.5% of
Yeah.
the roads being fixed annually. I mean, this is the best they can do. Come on.
I totally agree. It's funny that you say about the bicycle. So, part of
Yeah.
our job is door knocking and going door to door. And I've learned that if you do it on a scooter, it goes a lot faster. And I have intimately inspected these roads in my district, and they really need. It makes me just work that much harder so I can get elected, so we can fund the roads. And so it's the scooter. I attribute the scooter to the higher funding.
Yeah. I agree with you. The bicycle, if you don't bust the rim on the bike, you might still ride. But I don't know. Anyhow, Donnie, greatly appreciate you being here. Best of luck in your run for that Senate seat. We'll
Thank you.
talk again soon. Thank you. Really appreciate it. We're going to take a break here on the Steve Gruber Show on a Thursday. I've got sports coming up after the break. And at the top of the hour, we'll have an update on what's happened in Minneapolis. Obviously, a tragic situation. I'm glad she waited. Look, we can do better here. We can do better. We can protect our kids. And we can protect them from those that have mental illness and everything else. I'll be right back. All right, let's check in on sports with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. A full schedule of games in Major League Baseball yesterday. American League winners included the New York Yankees, Kansas City, and Seattle. National League winners included the New York Mets, Pittsburgh, and the LA Dodgers. United States Ryder Cup captain Keegan Bradley made his 6 captain's picks yesterday. They are Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Ben Griffin, Patrick Cantlay, Cam Young, and Sam Burns. European captain Luke Donald will make his captain's picks on Monday. The Ryder Cup is coming up in suburban New York in a month. In the WNBA, there were 2 games. Las Vegas won their 12th straight game by winning at Atlanta 81-75. Asia Wilson led the Aces with 34 points, and Connecticut beat Dallas 101-95. At the U.S. Open, second-round action began. Men's winners included Carlos Alcaraz, Taylor Fritz, and Novak Djokovic. Women's winners included Arina Sabalenka, Jessica Pegula, and Emma Navarro. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right. Well, Brock, let me ask you this, because Nick Hopwood said that he was looking for number 6 or was it number 5? Number 5 for Michigan to win over Ohio State. It's way too early. What are your thoughts?
It is way too early. Let's see what Ohio State does against Texas, and let's see what Michigan does against New Mexico.
All right.
One at a time. I know it's cliched, but one at a time.
Go Texas. All right, there we go. All right, thanks, Brock. Is something holding your business back? That's my question to you. Is it? Are you a business owner? Can you do better? Can't quite figure it out. What if in just one call you could find the biggest bottleneck? Have a clear custom plan to fix it. I'm teaming up with my friend Grant Cardone to give you some insight, to give you exactly that. And it's free, by the way. It's free. Get expert insights, proven systems that can be put in place right away. Your breakthrough in business starts at Gruber10x.com. Gruber10x.com. Get expert advice from the team at Grant Cardone. He's going to be a billionaire this year. He was broke at 30, a billionaire by 65. Might have figured something out. Can share that with you. Gruber10x.com. Check that out. I'll be right back.
there's always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent. Come on, man. We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
And here we are, a special edition live from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Thank you for being here, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. Who do you want in your foxhole? Seriously, who do you want in your foxhole? That's my question every given day here. It's an important question. Life is more complicated all the time. Okay, here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, energy. Yeah, energy. It's been maybe the number one thing the president's been doing, energy policy, because it impacts the economy and national security. Well, guess what? Oil production has hit all-time record levels in the United States. Number two, we're going to have the latest on the investigation into that hate shooting being investigated as domestic terrorism now in Minnesota, where the transgender individual shot down children at Mass at a Catholic school yesterday. We'll have the latest on that. But first, I have to start with this. And this is a bizarre story out of Hamtramck, Michigan. A bizarre story out of Hamtramck, Michigan. Is the police chief there the worst of any in America? Let's see. The police chief there is named Jamil Altahari. Fired after report that stated he gave a loaded weapon to a civilian, told that civilian to point it at a person's head, and also drove drunk with other officers to a strip bar in his city-owned vehicle. Quite a guy. I mean, here's a stand-up guy who's really trying to get things done in Hamtramck. City Council fired its police chief, City Manager Max Garbarino, and Officer David Adamczyk at its August 26th meeting due to the fallout from the report by Miller Johnson attorneys. The law firm said they reviewed more than 670,000 documents for the report. The investigation concluded that Altahari drank alcohol at a party, then drove to a strip bar with other police officers in his city-owned vehicle September 19, 2024. While driving to the strip club, Altahari put on his lights and sirens, drove erratically, according to the report. Multiple witnesses reported that Altahari appeared intoxicated before driving. So he got liquored up, grabbed the cop car, and zipped off to the strip joint. Gee, what could be wrong with that? Wow. Later, Altahari agreed to not fire a police officer who was believed to have committed time card fraud if the officer deleted the reckless driving video he had of Altahari driving to the strip club. Hey, I'll help you out. Get rid of that video. The report said, this is all at MichiganNewsSource.com. This is really quite something. The report said the officer was not fired, but should have been for time card fraud. Instead of the officer resigning, he was given a 30-day suspension. Instead of the officer resigning, he was given a 30-day suspension. That's it. When he was placed on administrative leave, Altahari violated a city policy by having a friend wipe his cell phone clean. It is. I need to write something in here because I want to see more about this. This is great. The report also said that Altahari pressured police officers to help him in a custody dispute with the mother of his 2-year-old son. This guy was just the dream cop. The report said police were called to his residence at least 5 times, 5 911 calls, and Altahari suggested police present him favorably in their report. In addition, the report said that Altahari handed a loaded firearm to a female civilian and told her to point it at someone's head. Hey, point this at their head. The report said that Altahari did not deny it because it was recorded on video, but said it was a joke. Yeah, because, pointing guns at people's heads is a funny thing, I suppose, to him. I'm confused here. In addition, Officer Adamczyk, accused of using a video he took of Altahari driving while drinking to the strip bar, as leverage against the police chief. The report stated that Altahari and Adamczyk also attempted to rig a sergeant's promotion exam in Adamsic's favor. The report that Adamsic also submitted overtime for hours he did not work mischaracterized the nature of his work, and more, the report also stated that Garabino exercised significant poor judgment in his role as city manager in other instances in which his actions did not comport, that is, with his obligations under Hamtramck City Charter, city policies, and oh, good Lord. So the police chief, he's drunk, using lights and sirens to get to, maybe getting to the strip club was an emergency, right? Maybe getting to the strip, maybe, you don't know how urgent it might have been, right? Anthony, I mean, maybe he had to get to the strip club. Just saying.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean you don't know about that? It was urgent. He had to get to the strip club. All right, back to serious news. We need a little levity here today about how dumb people are. Before we go back to the serious nature of that horrible shooting in Minneapolis, which we've talked about extensively here this morning. The targeting of Catholic schools, the targeting of Christians, the protection of people who seriously need mental help, not coddling. That's the real issue here today, I believe. The Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, just another outspoken supporter of mental illness. Here's an example.
Because let's be clear, this is life-affirming and life-saving healthcare. When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as grown-ups to listen and to believe them. That's what it means to be a good parent.
Is that what it means? I must be confused. Because I thought being a good parent meant, you'll humor a child for a bit. I'm a dinosaur. That's great. I'm Superman. I can fly off the building. Well, according to her, we should just believe the child and let him fly off the building. I mean, to be a good parent is to believe the child. Who are these idiots? I'll just leave it there for now. This part of the program brought to you by My Pure Health Solutions. Look, if you want to lose weight and do it the right way, figure out what's going on with your metabolism, the rhythms of your body, I strongly encourage that. If you want to avoid getting a shot every week with powerful drugs from Big Pharma, I suggest you go to gruberhealth.com. gruberhealth.com. If you want to lose weight the old-fashioned way, which is by paying attention to your body, learning about how it works, eating real food, not substitute fake shakes and bars and nonsense, but real food with real people. Get a hold of Missy and my friends at My Pure Health Solutions. Gruber Health is the place to do it. You get a custom plan that fits you. And trust me, when they test, my plan doesn't fit you, your plan doesn't fit me. We're individuals. And there are different foods that react differently with me than with you. It's the way it is. It's truth. We need to focus on nutrition. Just like Robert F. Kennedy said in the cabinet meeting I was in a couple of days ago, we need to teach doctors about nutrition. We need to teach you about nutrition. If you want to lose weight the right way, go to gruberhealth.com. Don't be embarrassed. Get help today. gruberhealth.com. It's free to call. gruberhealth.com. I'll be right back. All right, back to it now as we lean into another big day and continue on this hour with Lise Whitney, working for the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Foundation. A new campaign effort aimed at improving civility in America and our political landscape. Man, good luck with that. Civility in our landscape. Welcome to the program.
Thanks so much, Steve.
I reflect on this as I've been looking through social media today, just about the shooting in Minneapolis yesterday. And the horrible things that people say immediately after a tragedy like this. They don't care about the kids. They don't care about the victims. They care about scoring political points as soon as possible. In this particular case about, Republicans are evil and gun control, it's their fault. I'm like, how could this be my fault? Yeah, I'm a gun owner. So somehow the murder of children in Minneapolis is my fault. How do we bridge that gap, my friend?
Well, it's a great question, and a lot of people are doing a lot of thinking about that right now. And I think we all recognize, if anybody's a student of history, knows that American politics has always been vicious. It's always been, for Pete's sake, I mean, you had a vice president kill the Treasury Secretary in a duel. So these things are not new. But the power, the magnifying effect of social media is new, and we have to do something to transcend it. You can't just, the horse is out of the barn. You're not going to get rid of AI. You're not going to get rid of social media. You're going to have a lot of these intemperate utterances, but we've always had those. So what we can do, where we can light candles, is where we have students come in to the Gerald R. Ford Presidential DeVos Learning Center. We have college students we engage. We have Hill staffers we engage. And under the dome in Lansing, we have a group that's forming. For those people who are hungry to get the good work done that they are advocating, they're looking for techniques and ways to transcend the nonsense out there. One way we do it is you say, okay, I'm for freedom, you're for equality. Can we find a principle that transcends those and actually works to bring us together? Well, yeah, it's America.
Yeah,
it's America itself.
It's called America. That's right. That's what America
it's called
is.
America.
Exactly right.
It's called America because, in fact, what I said at the press conference on Monday, Steve, the United States is the greatest achievement of humankind ever. And we've forgotten that.
Ever. And these fools would sit there and say, wow, we need socialism. We need communism. We need, oh, shut up. I'm sorry, but I there's the end of my civility. I'm done with that. As civil as I'm going to be, because I detest communists. I detest socialists. I detest people that don't understand meritocracy or mathematics, for that matter. They don't understand the free market system. They don't understand any damn thing. They're delusional, and frankly, they're dumb. I'm sorry, these people are just
dumb. They don't
know
history.
When they're advocating for socialism and communism, they're just dumb. I mean, what else would I say about it?
This is why historical literacy, civic literacy are so important in this campaign. All you have to do, say you want to defend capitalism, the free market, show them the hockey stick graphs. For 99% of human existence, people were just sort of puttering along just above a subsistence level. Just think, they had to get up in the morning, they had to light the fire if they wanted to be warm, they had to go out and catch the squirrel if they wanted to eat dinner that night. But starting with the Industrial Revolution, you have this hockey stick on all the graphs that show what the free market does. That's why when people start talking about socialism, they just are ignorant. They don't understand how important the capitalistic system has been to raise people up out of poverty.
Nothing has put more people out of poverty than the capitalist system. Nothing has given people more freedom of expression and given them liberty than the free market capitalist system. Nothing has created more freedom, not just in this country, but globally, than America, based on the principles of the Wealth of Nations and Adam Smith and other principles from Hamilton and Jefferson and others. people need to know the truth, don't they? And the problem is, I was just talking about this yesterday. People don't know the truth because, for example, go ask 100 people on the street what the Great Leap Forward was historically. They don't know because we don't teach that anymore. They taught it when I was in school. They don't even teach it anymore. 100 million people on this planet, maybe more, died in the 20th century as a direct result of central planning, socialism, and capitalism. 100 million or more. They don't teach that in school, do they? That's a problem.
And that's historically documented. That's not a fake number. Historians went back and reconstructed. You're absolutely right. That should be the headline that you wake up to whenever you see somebody who's advocating centralized planning and socialism. 100 million people dead. It never has worked on a large scale, and it never will. It is incompatible with our human nature. But the way we approach this, Steve, is we say, okay, you're for equality, I'm from liberty. How do we reconcile what we're trying to do here? And I think there was a formula right after World War II that worked really well. And, even though, and everybody knows this, I mean, I work for John Engler, for Pete's sake, so I'm not a closet Republican at all. Everybody knows I'm a Republican. But I tell you, I invoke a Democrat to get people on the other side to just sit up and listen to me for a minute. Arthur Schlesinger Jr. He said, what is the secret sauce in America after we got through a depression and we won a world war, the worst war in human history? It was a two-front war for us. And we were the only nation that came through World War II stronger at the end of the war than at the beginning of the war. What's the secret sauce? Schlesinger identified the vital center. He called it the vital center. He said, we have formed a civilization in America that's built around Christianity, the Constitution, capitalism, and a culture that respects its traditions. Those are the four pillars. The four pillars.
People should focus on that. I got to leave it there for today. You come back anytime. These are principles. If they won't teach it in public school, we'll teach it here at least and reinforce it. Please, thank you very much for being here.
Amen. Thanks a lot.
Really appreciate it. Look, America, that's the key to freedom. Period. We'll be back. Yep. So the shooting suspect, the transgender killer from Minneapolis, now being investigated as a domestic terrorist. Once named Robert changed his name to Robin, didn't change his gender despite their best efforts. It did not solve the mental illness, now did it? What kind of a monster attacks children attending Mass? What kind of a soulless individual are you? Oh, and by the way, how horrible for your mother. You ought to be ashamed of yourself for that, but there was no shame. His mother was once the secretary at that school, retiring just about 3-4 years ago. She, of course, will never be the same, destroyed. But she encouraged this in part. During the name change, an adult had to sign off on this whole horrible, horrible event. Yep, had to sign off on this whole horrible event. It affects the police officers too. I can see in some of the pictures the officers in tears, some of them hugging the parents, sheriff's deputies, and others. These kind of things, we can no longer coddle mental illness in America. It can't be done. Crime is a centerpiece for our next election. Crime, whether it's in the nation's capital here where I am, crime in small towns like the small town in New Hampshire where they just busted 27 people involved with the Sinaloa cartel, taking in hundreds of thousands of dollars and unknown amounts of fentanyl and methamphetamines and everything else. Crime in America, front and center. We've had it. We've had it. Time to do better. Time to do better. I'll take a break and be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, so I mentioned this earlier. you're going to be pleased, I guess, for the most part. I mean, it's not like it's free, but the national gas average is now at $3.15, cheapest it's been since 2020. Since 2020. Best since the pandemic. So if you're going to go out for Labor Day weekend, you're going to fire up those 8 cylinders, you're going to be all right with it. Mark Morano with me. Mark, nice to have you back on the program.
Thank you, Steve. Happy to be here today.
All right. Yeah, Bobby, by the way, he's the publisher at Climate Depot. So we love hydrocarbons. I don't call them fossil fuels. That's a false name for them. I like hydrocarbons. I like gasoline. I like diesel. And check this out. In Michigan, the governor reversed course, reopening with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission's blessing, a nuclear power plant that was closed a couple of years ago, reopening that, stopping the destruction of a coal-fired power plant, going, wait a second, maybe not a good idea. There's a trend in America now, Mark. Cheap gasoline, returning to coal-fired power plants, looking at the ridiculousness of windmills and solar panels that are made mostly in Germany out of the windmills, and the solar panels in China that are full of toxic chemicals that do not produce the energy we need. If we want to be the world leader, like Donald Trump says, in AI, in mining crypto, we have to have a lot of energy, my friend.
Yes. I mean, in one sentence, we literally embraced the climate agenda, which offshored all American energy development and made China the primary world global energy provider, whether it's coal, whether it's all the rare earth mining, whether it's all the production needed for EV batteries, solar and wind, and it's in microchips. I mean, it is unbelievable. That is how the entire global agenda has been is, hey, we're going to do some accounting tricks. We'll stop producing energy in the West, where we have the highest environmental standards, the highest civil, human rights standards, and we'll offshore it to places like the Middle East and Venezuela and China. And then we'll call ourselves net zero and we'll pat ourselves on the back. It was the greatest delusion. Let me put it this way, since you were just talking about the killer up in Michigan, it's easier to transition your gender than it is energy. And that's literally what we've found in the last 10 years with all of this Obama-Biden nonsense going on.
Yeah. It's easier to transition your gender, which, by the way, can't be done.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. Chromosomes are chromosomes, just for those of you keeping score at home. Look, we need the energy. If America has always run, on vast quantities of cheap energy. And without that, the American economy falters. America itself falters. And meanwhile, you've got fools like Bill Gates. You know what he's doing with natural gas? He's making butter of some fashion. I'm not eating butter made out of natural gas. Have you seen this? Yeah, he's making butter of some fashion made out of natural gas. I have an idea, Bill. Just go home and never come back. I mean, seriously, who's eating? I mean, let's read.
Let's talk about that a minute. He's making it in the laboratory. I say it that way to bring up Frankenstein and the mad scientist. Bill Gates. This is not the only thing he's making in the laboratory. He's funding, along with Richard Branson and other billionaires, the lab-grown meat now, which is different than vegetable oil processed, hyper just crap that even the CNN nutritionist said wasn't healthy for you. A burger with like 22 different processed seed oils and all this and vegetable oils. Bill Gates, in addition to making this butter, now to his credit, it does look like butter and it probably does taste like it, but it's based on, I guess it's pressurized.
And so does margarine.
Yeah, exactly.
And
That's
margarine
right.
tastes like that. Margarine is a horrible thing to put in your body, a terrible thing. Butter, I'm going to go back to when I was in elementary school. Butter is brain food, the real thing. We don't need, manufactured butter to fight some supposed climate change. I tell you what, Bill, you eat that, I'll have butter, go away. I mean, seriously. And don't forget the crickets. We get to eat those for dinner too. Go on.
It's part of this. It's part of the cricket. Yeah, exactly. It's all about the bugs too. But this is part of that whole billionaire corporate World Economic Forum Great Reset agenda. Because what happened was Bill Gates, Richard Branson investing there. First of all, Bill Gates, number one farmland owner, followed closely by Bezos, followed closely by China. These are the ones. And now Trump administration is now trying to stop it. A lot of Republican governors, they're banning the land, especially from China. I still debate whether it's, would you rather China be the number one U.S. farmland owner or Bill Gates? That's a tough call to try to see who's more sinister there. But Bill Gates is investing in this research where you get the stem cells from a cow, sheep, or pig, put it into a petri dish. You make it into a some kind of a stew. You put it into a giant vat where it grows into an amorphous blob. And this is now actual meat because it's genetically derived from it, but it's all this laboratory grown meat, and it's eventually printed on a 3D printer. So you can have salmon, you can have steak, you can have whatever you want. And it's technically genetically derived from the substance, but this is as highly processed. They're calling it, Franken foods because it's done to replicate as fast as possible. And this is one of the agendas. Bill Gates has actually said we don't want American farmers. The cows have methane. We need to stop agriculture because it's creating a climate emergency. Methane's a more potent greenhouse gas. So we're going to do this lab-grown meat, and we're going to avoid all of that. The problem is it then turns food production into frankenfood, number one, and number two, into the purview of giant corporations run by billionaires. And we lose even more farming. We even lose the big industrial farming when they get to that point. Farming isn't outside anymore. It's inside in a laboratory. Anyway, this is the kind of stuff that Donald Trump has been fighting. But just to give you a quick thing, you mentioned the gas prices to start out here. Gas prices, we're just teetering on that 5-year low. It's going to take a while, though. And you're looking at utility bills. By the way, utility bills are going up in some places. Why? Because people like I was about to say Larry Flint, but Larry Fink. Larry Flint was the publisher of Hustler, but Larry Fink, the head of BlackRock, who's now the head of the World Economic Forum. He took over for Klaus Schwab. You will own nothing and be happy. He is now buying up utilities across the country. BlackRock, largest equity asset firm. And they're going to be now run by equity asset and these nameless, faceless corporations. And this is a problem we're having. But Donald Trump, 200 days in office, 200 actions to open up our energy supply. We have now had, in the summer of 2025, for the first time in United States history, going back to George Washington, we've had record oil and gas production under the first 6 months of Donald Trump. The more oil and gas we've ever seen.
Record production.
Yes.
And I went digging through my notes here. I had a comment from a World Economic Forum banker, business guy here, who was saying, "Yeah, we're sequestering 10 bazillion tons of carbon, blah blah blah. We're making a lot of money doing it." I mean, they admit they're getting rich off this garbage while they're punishing you and I, and they fly around eating caviar and filet mignon on their private jets while telling us to take a donkey cart. Mark, I appreciate you being here. These people are insane. 20 seconds, last word.
Yeah, it's an accounting trick, the whole idea, just buy carbon offsets. But anyway, I just want to say that the Trump administration 2.0, unbelievable. Lee Zeldin deserves an award, most consequential EPA chief. They're going for permanence, trying to stop the UN agenda and this endangerment finding and domestically. So this is a big moment in history.
Mark Morano, enjoy that beautiful morning where you are. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. All right. Thanks a lot, Steve.
All right. Ivy, up straight ahead.
Are you
All right, back at it as we bring this program to the finish line. We do that with the lady that has the roses, the wine, the roses, the candy, whatever she's got. Ivy's here, of course, with a big smile on her face. Generally, she was a little angry yesterday, as we all were, that's for sure. Good morning, Ivy.
I have wine and roses and chocolate somewhere. Where are these things hiding?
For me, when I get home. Yeah, of course.
So you want me to have
That's a
roses
great
and
color,
wine
by
and
the way.
candy ready for you?
Yeah. That's a great color, your blazer. Great
Oh,
color.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I think yesterday it really hit home for you and I, having two children that had gone through the Catholic school system, and for any
K
parent
through
that,
8.
yeah, for
Just like the school in Minneapolis.
yeah, and for any parent that sends their kid to school, it's a frightening day. Anytime that there's a school shooting, you wonder, are my kids safe in school? It's tough conversations that you have to have with them about their safety and being aware. And my God, if this ever happens to them in their school, what to do? It's a absolute tragic day. It was very, very tough for me to really not lose it most of the day, because, and I think that's probably true for many parents out there. But we do have to have a serious conversation about the radicalization of the left, the words that they choose to use purposely, and the radicalization of the transgender community, because it doesn't take
The
a lot.
normalization. What about the normalization? Oh, this is fine. Look, how many of these transgender shooters and non-binary shooters and killers do we have to have before we say, hey, I mean, we're saying it. How long till the left goes, wait a second? 81% of Americans consider crime to be an extreme problem in America today, according to brand new polling
Right.
From left-wing pollsters.
Well,
This is
the
serious stuff.
the Minnesota church shooting was a transgender. Republican Party firebombing was a gender fluid. The national shooter was a transgender. The Colorado Tesla arsonist was a transgender. The Colorado
That's
Springs
right.
shooter, non-binary. The Ardeen shooter was a transgender. Denver school shooter, transgender. Iowa school shooter, transgender, transfluid. You know, if it doesn't take very long to start to compile this list of concerns of this community, and if you just listen to what the left is saying, Trump is a fascist. He's going to take away your rights. The Christians in America aren't going to allow you to transition. The war that is happening against, well, Christians in general, but I don't know if you knew this, but since 2014, there have been 415 hostile acts on Catholics or the Catholic Church. An increase.
Why are the Catholics being attacked?
Well, I don't know.
Because
An increase. This is an increase of 700. Hold on. This is an increase of 730% since 2018 in America. I mean, we have a problem. We're not talking about it.
We do. Christians are being attacked in Nigeria, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan. Near genocide levels in Syria right now and Nigeria. Christians are being attacked around the world. And they're being attacked here in America. And instead of saying we need to stand with the Catholic Church, and I'm not Catholic, you're not Catholic, I stand with the Catholic Church today because they are being attacked viciously at every turn. And it's time to stand up and say, look, stop attacking our children who are attending Mass or going to school in a Christian church or a Catholic church. We need to stand. I don't need to stand with mental illness.
100%. The far left needs to stop their propaganda and their lies about, the right, Christians, the president of the United States. I mean, it doesn't, when you're looking at the shooter's guns and the things that were written on his weapons,
right,
and on the magazines were exactly what the left is putting out there as propaganda.
Donald Trump,
kill Israel, destroy Israel, destroy the Christian church. Kill Donald Trump. Hello, people.
By the way,
this is a warning sign. Stop with the crazy propaganda.
There was a claim by this guy, Ivy. Maybe you saw this, or maybe you didn't. That he attended the SHOT Show in 2024 and met some guy that he claimed was, should be his. he never attended the SHOT Show. Now, you and I have been to the SHOT Show a number of times. You're there by
Right.
invitation only. It's put
Right.
on by the
Not
National
just
Shooting
anybody can
Sports
get in.
Foundation. You don't just get to go in there.
Right.
And again, it's he. It's not she. He was in there, not on the list anywhere. Is my point. Just it's more lies, and yet those on the left would have you believe this is about guns. Mental illness is not an issue. Transgender
Right.
should be protected. Stop it.
And you have these generally white, older, liberal women who are screaming at the top of their lungs in protest saying, equal rights for all, the transgender community doesn't have equal rights and yada, yada, yada. It's like, stop it. Stop it. It's enough is
What
enough.
rights?
We're
What
done
rights
with this.
do they not have?
Exactly. And not only that, but the first thing that the left begins to say is to take away guns. It's kind of funny because when they say that Donald Trump is every day trying to take away the rights that are given to us by the Constitution, our God-given rights, then they say, well, we need to take away guns, which is in the Constitution and a right that we have in America. So out of one side of their mouth, they're saying, well, Trump is a fascist. And then the other side of their mouth, they're the fascist. It's just unbelievable. And I quite frankly, am sick and tired of it. It's just enough is enough. And it's the media on the left. It are these left radicals on the left. I mean,
that's
I'm
exactly
incensed.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
just ridiculous. People need to begin standing up and pushing back against this. Have some
And telling the
freaking
truth. And
grow
stand
a
up for the
pair
Catholic. Grow a
and
pair.
stand
Stand
up
up
for what's
kid.
right.
Yeah, no question.
Stand up for the
Ivy, you're
protection
right
of your
about all of it.
family.
Yeah, you're right about all of it. And if you've got somebody who has these issues, get them professional help.
Yeah, let's not
For God's-
mutilate their genitals so that they can never have babies ever again or any type of sexual intercourse. Hello.
Correct. Ivy, appreciate it. Love you. Talk
Love
soon.
you. Bye-bye. That maybe I'm missing it.
I have a bit of breaking news real quickly before we go, and I brought Ivy back because I wanted her to share something too. But I just saw that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is launching an investigation to SSRIs. These are antidepressants that are given to children like candy all over this country, often associated with this sort of an attack that we saw in Minneapolis. He just made that announcement moments ago, so that's important. And Ivy, I wanted you to share some things, despicable things you found on Reddit about this shooting real quickly.
And really quickly, too, you know, people who don't really realize that these depressants are serotonin uptake inhibitors. It doesn't allow your body to really produce. It just allows your serotonin to be at a level of just the same all the time. So you don't generally with people that are on depressants for a long period of time, they don't feel anything. They feel numb all the time. So anyhow, so I ran out of time to talk about this, but on Reddit there were some posts about talking about the shooting yesterday. And here's some of the things that people had to say. Take the fight to their kids so they can feel what it's like to be attacked for your identity. Elect a fascist. Your kids are legitimate targets. Republicans are enemies of humanity, and thinning the herd is our duty.
These are the leftists.
Maybe
it's okay to murder children. Listen to what she says. Go ahead.
Yeah. This is Republicans' fault for trying to genocide us.
The hell are they talking about? So murdering children, 8 and 10-year-olds,
future religious extremists dying isn't a bad thing. I mean, what is wrong with people to be able to say this after little innocent children who have nothing to do with politics and transgender?
Anything.
I mean, come on. I read a story the other day that a woman, that the age of the child was 1.5, said that since that age, she knew she was a boy. The child is 1.5 years old. Pull your head from your ass, people.
Ivy, appreciate it.
Love you.
Take her advice. Take her advice. All right. Fight the good fight. Keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is the Steve Gruber Show. Remember, only you can save America. And tell me on Monday when we talk again, because I'm off tomorrow, who do you want in your foxhole? Who do you want in your foxhole? I got to pack up. I got to close some things up here in D.C. Friday, fly back, and then I'll see you on Monday, my friends. Until then.